Alright, so I just got the car inside. It was like really running super rough. Hopefully everything's okay and it's just the head gasket. But we've got our first telltale sign of it being the actual head gasket, which is the Prestone bottle being compressed. So we'll see once we're inside. Alright, so here we're just removing everything under the windshield, so all the wiper unit and the cowl, also the engine cover, air box. Also starting to get some of the wiring out from the back. So that's the O2 sensor and whatever plug is in the back there. Also all of the air box and the intake manifold has to come off, and exhaust. Basically everything has to come off. The engine mount had to come off, all of the wiring, the intake manifold, exhaust, so there's a lot of preparation work to just get to the motor, but now we're ready to get into it. Taking a little break here to mention that if you don't have the tool for fuel lines, sometimes it's kind of a pain just to go to the store and get it. So you can cut a little pipe, whatever size fuel line, and slide it over, and you're supposed to push it into the barbs so that you can spread the barbs apart and push that fuel fitting off. So anyways, this worked even though the access was terrible. This does the same thing as that tool. It's also necessary to remove the passenger side wheel to gain access to the timing cover. Alright, so we got the head off finally. The camera died last night, so I couldn't get it on film, but it's pretty straightforward. Once you get the cam unit off, then you have access to the head bolts, and then you try to find the right tool to do it, which for me was impossible. I went in town, got this, was the wrong one, and so I ended up using an Allen key, which I didn't think about the fact that that's actually just half of the points and it actually works. So got all those off and it was pretty straightforward. So now we're gonna clean gasket surface. It was clear that it was the head gasket once we opened it up, because the one of the cylinder was all wet and soaked with Prestone, and the other three were all fine. Also notice that the head is not being remachined. That's because it hasn't overheated. In some cases where there's a lack of coolant, and the motor can overheat and warp the head. So that's not the case in this situation. Now, following the Toyota manual, we have to put like 2 beads of silicone right there. So it's been 3 minutes. We applied the gasket maker. Now we're ready to put the gasket on. So it says lot number on the top, and that seems exactly like what we need. I don't think you can even put it on the wrong way. This is to apply a light coat of engine oil onto the threads. Like so. we're gonna do the opposite of when we took the head off, which you guys didn't see, sadly. But when you take it off, you're supposed to go from the outside in. So now to torque it down, we're gonna go inside out, and after that we'll have to turn every head like a couple degrees. And these are torqued to 49 foot-pounds. All of your heads. So we redo the same pattern as we did just before, but we're gonna turn the heads of the bolts 90 degrees. Alright, so we are about to put the timing cover back on. Make sure you don't forget to clean the oil out of this, because well, then it leaks down and obviously it gives you less chances of having a good seal. So I use brake cleaner on all the surfaces, get it nice and clean, especially around the water pump down there. You need a lot of sealer on there. So we're ready to put this on. Let's see how it goes. So we're supposed to retract the chain tensioner here. So yeah, you just push it in, push on the back of this ratchet, and well, on the cam, and put the little hook on, and then we're just gonna install this with the same hardware. So finally, we're putting the valve cover back together. From here on, we really need to just put everything back together. Honestly, there's nothing too complicated, but it's the time it takes. So much stuff to put back on. Wasn't too terribly complicated, but I was worried about the whole cam alignment and with the motor being at top dead center, because it is pretty crucial since this is a interference engine. So you really have to get that right. Much it for the Prius. It started pretty great on the second time. I definitely suggest doing this if you have the right mindset, because it's a pretty big job. I spent like one day, one afternoon, and one evening, but whatever that adds up to, it's a good big job, and it's because there's so much stuff to take off. before you can actually access the head easily. And it's way easier to put everything back because plugs are really hard to get off and pretty. Head bolts are bi-hex socket heads. And for some reason, when I went looking for those at the stores in town, nobody had a clue what I was talking about, and they all kept saying triple square or that's all we got. And it's not the right angle point. You can use Allen sockets like these, and this did the job finally. I managed to break all the bolts free and torque them to spec. You must make a puller to take the harmonic balancer off. I was too lazy initially to make this part, which turned out to take me like 15 minutes to make, barely. It's just a bar with two through holes that you can put bolts and bolt into the harmonic balancer. If you have the right length of bolt, you can actually not even tap the middle. You can just use it on the bolt of the harmonic balancer, and it'll pull off. But I added this center pusher, so that's nice. If you use a regular puller, it either will slip off or break the harmonic balancer like I did. So I got another one coming. That's why I can't really finish the job right now, but it's like a $17 part. It's not a big deal. Ooh, another thing to note is that the windshield is really in an exposed area. I cracked a little piece. I've got like 3 cracks going up. Must have nicked it when I took the wiper assembly out. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the little tutorial, and see you guys next time.